Markets Now is brought to you by the 5-year anniversary of Brevant Seeds. Here's to 5 years of not just winning, but collecting one game-changing W after another. See all of our wins at Brevant.com/wins.
Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Randy Martinson of Martinson Ag. Well, a mostly lower day on Tuesday in the grain trade. And Randy, let's talk about the soybean market because man, we had over $1 run. So most of this just profit taking, you think, or not?
I think there's a little bit of profit taking, some kind of cleaning up an overbought market condition. Technically we went up and hit some pretty strong resistance levels in the soybeans at 1135 was pretty strong, and the market fell off of that. So I do think we're seeing, kind of a combination of farmer selling as we're rewarding the market and a little bit of technical selling.
Right. So if we get above resistance, this 1135 area that you talk about, soybeans don't spend a lot of time in the 11s. What's it going to take to push us over those levels?
Well, I think if we had China come in and we get some confirmation of some trade areas, some sales, that's certainly going to help. And I think that will help push it. Maybe the report that we're going to see, the November crop production report on November 14th, that might bring us a little bit of good news. That might be enough to help push us over this 1135 area. I do think that, that 12 is very much, that's a viable level for this market to trade to. We just need something to help push us there.
I was going to say, if China buys all 12 million metric tons, what price level do we need to be at? Is it 12 or more?
Well, I think we'd be probably looking at a little more if they came in and bought that, because it's going to be in a short term. It's going to be aggressive buying because they're looking at, taking South America beans here very soon. Well, they're even reported buying some now. But by the time we get to January, they're going to be buying pretty much exclusive South American beans. So we need to make these sales quick, and that's going to cause, I think, the market to jump.
Yeah, let me get into that because supposedly China bought 7 cargoes of soybeans so far, but most of those went to Sino Grain or COFCO or their government agencies to go into reserves. So they weren't subject to the tariffs. Has China lowered the tariffs yet?
You would expect that, but as of now, from what I read this morning, China has not lowered the tariffs so that independent crushers can't be coming in and buying. They'd have to pay the tariffs right now. So right now, they're not getting the go-ahead from the government, China's government, to go ahead and buy yet. So I do think that there is a little bit of disconnect there from what we're hearing from the U.S. Government and what China's saying. It seems to be going a little bit slower to get implemented in China.
Yeah. So in the meantime, we've heard that China maybe has bought 20 cargoes of Brazilian soybeans and about half of that for December.
That was the report yesterday, is that they bought 10 cargoes for December delivery. The other 10 were for that February to July delivery timeframe. And this, it's not normal for Brazil to be selling soybeans to China in December. So that was a little bit of a sting to the market.
Yeah, we're getting some kind of mixed messages, which I guess I understand because it is China. But do you think that it's just because we haven't dropped the tariffs yet, that's why China is going over there? Or are they just not going to fulfill the commitment here of that 12 million metric tons?
Well, the devil's going to be in the details. And right now we don't know what the details of the trade deal are. Whether or not they're going to look at like it was in the phase 1 where, it's economically feasible to buy. That's where they're going to buy the beans from or the product from. So that's something that we need to see yet. As soon as we get the trade deal signed by both countries, we'll be able to see a little bit more of the details. But as of now, it looks like it might be a little bit closer to what the phase 1 trade deal was than anything.
Okay, so what you're referring to is the commercial consideration clause that was in the phase 1 that allowed China basically to get out of their commitments on purchases. And if that's in the language, which we don't know yet, maybe they buy 12 million metric tons, maybe they don't, right?
Exactly. And there's still a little bit of concern or confusion about it, since China works on the calendar year, is it 12 million for the year or is it 12 million going forward from the November to December and January? So that's the other part that needs to be kind of cleared up, and we'll see that in the details of the trade deal. But for right now, we're kind of on the assumption that they're coming in to buy 12 million metric ton. It looks a little fuzzy now with them buying these last 10 cargoes from China or from Brazil.
If they do buy 12 million metric tons, then where do ending stocks need to be? How does USDA adjust this in the WASDE that they're supposed to be releasing on November 14th?
I think we got a chance to see a friendly report there. I think they're going to use the 12 million metric ton, which is going to be that 400 million, which, so I think the export number is going to be somewhat intact with what we've been seeing. I don't look for that to change much. What I do think we're going to see changed in the WASDE report is a lowering of the soybean yield. And I'm kind of in the camp thinking that we could see a 2 bushel drop in soybean yield, which would make this a friendly report.
So that would get us under 300 million bushel ending stocks.
Definitely get us under 300 million, probably closer to that 200 million area, maybe even a little bit less than 200. So right now, that's kind of what I'm looking to be the next catalyst that'll help push this market higher.
Gotcha. Randy, can we logistically get 12 million metric tons of soybeans purchased out the Northwestern Corn Belt through the PNW in the next 2 months?
That's going to be the $1 million question right now. I do know that about a week ago, before the trade deal was signed, there was a bunch of basis improved. There was a bunch of buying at the elevators. A lot of farmers were delivering. So there was bushels that were brought out. And I think going into the export market, we need to get a lot more aggressive, though, on that to get these, get the bushels out of the farmers' hands and get them into the elevator. So we're going to need to see that, I think, amplified a little bit for this to be able to logistically happen.
Corn market also sitting back following what, soybeans, or was that some profit taking there as well?
Well, I think there was some profit taking. That 435 December is pretty strong. That's the 50% retracement from the recent high to the February high to the recent low that we had. And so I think there was some profit taking that stepped in there. I think soybeans added a little bit of the pressure to the market as well. Right now, we're still flying blind with the corn as well. We know demand is good. We just don't know how good it is.
And StoneX came out with a 186 bushel per acre yield. Did that contribute?
Oh, I think that contributed because that's virtually unchanged from USDA. I think they're at 186.9. I think the yield's a little bit closer to 182. I mean, it's a good corn crop. There's no question about that. I just don't think it's a 186 record. I think it's closer to a 182 record.
Do you think that the corn market will likely see lower yields in the WASDE, but maybe will be disappointed overall where the ending stocks come in at, or not?
I think we will be. I think we're going to see a little lower, and I think they're going to increment it down. So I wouldn't look for a big drop in this next report on the corn side. Demand has been good. I think that'll stay fairly decent in the numbers, but I think we'll see about a third of what USDA is going to intend to cut the stocks at in the November report. And then we'll wait till the government gets rolling, and then a couple months in, we'll see the real numbers.
What about harvest pressure? We've got about 15% of the crop left to harvest, and it's going to be hard to find places for the rest of the bushels that we have to store, right?
It is. I mean, even elevators are getting full, and most of the farmers have stuffed everything in every corner they can possibly find. So the last of this will likely come to town, and that will continue to upset the basis here a little bit, I think.
Wheat market was higher as we saw some news that maybe China was sniffing around for some U.S. wheat. Do you think they'll buy wheat from the U.S.?
That's completely off the radar. I mean, nobody was expecting that wheat would become part of the equation, but I would expect that they might come in and buy a little bit. I don't think their needs are that great, but I'm afraid that it could happen like it did last year, where they come in and they buy some significant or some decent amounts, but then they cancel them later in the year.
Some of the recent rally in the wheat market has been funds just covering their massive short position. Are they about done with that, you think?
I would expect that they should be getting close to that. Seasonally, we start to see wheat improve a little bit at this time frame, just because we got the winter wheats planted. We kind of know where the acres might possibly fall. We're also see end users in the U.S. kind of want to fill up their to get their need. Fill up their storage so that they can have enough to get through the winter season for milling. And so I look for basis to start improve here a little bit, but I think for the most part the funds kind of are probably sitting where they want to sit.
Do you think the grains also saw some outside market pressure? It was kind of risk off there in the financial sector, the dollar, the crude oil markets.
I think so. I mean, we're kind of seeing the market kind of seems to move together, and we're seeing a big risk off session take place. So I think that added a little bit of selling to the market as well.
And on Wednesday, Randy, the Supreme Court is going to hear the case about whether Trump's tariffs are constitutional or not. And what are the markets going to be watching for there?
Well, I mean, I think it kind of comes to a moot point. I mean, I myself think that they'll find that he can't do it and that they're going to reverse it. But there's other avenues for him to use to put these tariffs on. So if they find it so that he has to back away from the current method of tariffs, he'll come in with a different method of putting the tariffs on and still use them. I think that way it's a little. He'll have to go through Congress after 150 days and get approval. But I think by then we'll have most of the trade deals done and most of it will be signed and most of the agreements will be completed by then.
You bet. Thanks so much. Randy Martinson with Martinson Ag. That is Markets Now.
You were right.
You were right.
You were right.
Well, you were right. When you choose your seed brand, there's winning, and then there's...
You were right. Should have gone with Brevant seeds.
When you choose Brevant seeds, you don't just win. You get to be right. Don't just win. Win. Talk with your retailer or visit Brevant.com/win to get started.